today I'd like to show you a little bit of a close-up of some of the tools that I use to do my pottery with. So these are my basic tools. So I really like that little nylon one. And I use this little pokey one quite a bit, like the straight one you'll see when I do the pottery. And this one, I actually use the end for poking inside of little pots. And this is the one that I use for giving shape to the outside of the pot. So I'll show you what I do on the wheel. So this is how I make my pottery. So I take a piece of clay and I put it on a slightly damp wheel, and then I'm going to try and center. Now, because I'm throwing off the hump, it's not absolutely important that it's perfectly centered, but I like to try as best as I can. So I'm pushing in with my left hand and down with my right hand. And you can see it's really off center, so I stop the wheel and I'm moving it into the center. So once again, pressure on the left side towards the clay, and the right hand is pushing down on the clay. So it's not absolutely imperative that it's centered, and you can see here that it's not. I'm just trying my best to get it as centered as I possibly can so it isn't wobbling all over the place. Now, once I got it centered, I take my 2 pointer fingers and I press into the very center, and I'm just trying to pull a little tiny cylinder out of the center, and that's what I'm going to be making my little pot on, is the little cylinder that I'm creating. Now, my hands are kind of covering it, but it is a little tiny bit wobbly, so if it's totally wobbly on the top, I just pull that piece of clay off and then stick it into my bowl of water. All the clay that I use gets reclaimed and reused anyways, so I tore off that little part that was wobbly, and I'm left with a centered little cylinder. So then I take the pointer tool, and it's wet, I've dipped it in water, and then I'm sticking it in the very center of the cylinder to hollow it out so that I can make a pot. I apologize that my left hand's in the way, but that's the only way I can do it. So you can see here I've hollowed it out, and now I've got this silicone pointy tool, and then I stick it in the center of it, and that hollows it out even more. And then I'm sort of pressing it down with my fingertips so that the top of the pot will be level, and then I'm using the little pointy tool to kind of bevel out the edges. Now you can see here it's a little bit wonky, but that's okay. I can use my tools and my fingers to try and straighten it out. So I'm just making the bottom of the pot there, and then I'm just going to take my pointer finger and my thumb and pull it up just slightly and see if I can't get it centered. So you can see that's way better. So it's a little bit wonky, but it's not too bad. But remember, after the clay is dried before it's fired, I can work on that, and I can make it a lot better. So I'm just sticking the pointer tool in again to kind of make the top a little bit more narrow. You can see I'm getting some excess clay off of it. And then if I kind of put it in at sort of a bit of a 45-degree angle, it'll flare it out and make a nice little lip on the top of it. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that piece. So I'm just going to see if I can't center it a little bit better on the top. Try my best. There you go. So that's how you do a tiny little pot. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of clay off of the side and give the pot a little bit nicer shape. And it's okay if the top isn't totally level, because we can fix that up later on after the fact. So the pottery is going to obviously be cleaned before it goes into the firing. So any little lumps and bumps that might be on it is just fine, because you can take those off after the fact. Now I use a tool and I take it off of the lump of clay, and there you go. That's my pot number 1. So that one's not too bad. As I do them, the more I do, the better I seem to get at it, but I'm still far from being perfect at it. But I have to tell you, I really enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun. So now I'm just kind of trying to cone it up a little bit, and there you go. Now I got to get rid of that that dip in the center and try and make it a little bit more level. And then I take my 2 Peter pointer fingers, and there you go. See, I'm making another little cylinder. So I'm just pressing into the center of the clay, and I'll take that little excess part off, and you see it's pretty wonky. So it's going to take me a couple of tries to get the comb perfect. There, it's pretty good now. I think that looks pretty good. So then I just kind of press down on it, make sure that it's where I want it to be, and then I'll try and make a little pot off of that. So it's very much trial and error. The more practice, the better you get at it. So now I'm going in with my pointer tool, and that's a better angle, so you can see how I'm hollowing it out with the pointer tool. And that pointer tool is actually taking some excess clay out of it. So there you go. So now it's a little bit off center. So I'm taking my Peter pointer finger and my thumb again, and I'm trying to make it centered. So the whole point is you just got to keep on trying to keep it centered. But it's not all that easy. I mean, as I say, it's trial and error. So now I'm back in with the pointer tool, and I'm making it open a little bit more. And I'm kind of going in a little bit at a 45-degree angle, because I want it to kind of bell out, I guess, at the top, so to speak. And now I've got the little tool for the bottom, and I'm just trimming around the bottom just to give the pot a little bit of a shape like a vase. And then I'll take my fingers and try and get the wonk out of it. That's the only way I can describe it. Make it less wonky. There you go. So there's a second pot. So, I mean, this one's not too bad. You can see it's a little uneven on the top ledge, like the top edge of it. But that's okay. That can be trimmed off after the clay is half hardened. So you don't want it to totally dry so that it's like air dry clay. You want it to be half wet, and then you can just go in with like one of those green scour pads and just very, very lightly go after it, and you can even it out. So here I'm just doing it with my fingers. So this is how you would make plates or bowls or pots. So I'm just kind of sticking my finger or my thumb into the center of it, and just trying to make a little bowl here. And sometimes, you're going for a bowl and then you end up with a vase. It just sort of happens. So you can see here it's a little bit wonky. So I'm pulling it up with my thumb and my Peter pointer finger, and then I'm trying to even it out. You can see here it's really going wonky, but that's okay. I'll just do my best and keep on working on it until I get the shape that I want. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. It can go into my bucket of water, and the clay can be reclaimed, and we can use it to make something else. So now I've decided, instead of doing a bowl, I want to make a flower pot. So that's what this one's turning out to be. And so I'm just using my fingers along the edge to try and give it a nice shape. And there you go. I think this is a flower pot, and it's going to be a big one. It's more 1/12 scale for sure. So there you go. That's what I created today my niece was filming me. So thank you very much to my niece for having so much patience to be able to film this. And you can see here these pieces are ready to be trimmed, and they will turn out okay. I mean, they look funny now, but if you enjoyed today's video and would like to help support my channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee. Just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Lisa Dobo. The same effect can be achieved using one of those little miniature wheels as well, but then you would just be doing one tiny piece at a time with one little tiny piece of clay. But yeah, you can do much the same thing with the tiny wheels. I think I would prefer using the larger wheel, but I think it's more of a personal preference thing more than anything. So these little pieces will have to be cleaned, and then they'll have to be fired to bisque, and then they can be painted with underglaze, or I could put glaze on them, and then they get fired one more time. So yeah, that's how I do it. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for watching today's video. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing, as it really does help my channel grow. And please hit that like button. Tell your friends about my videos by sharing them. And please hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I upload a new video. And once again, guys, have the best day ever.